Okay, so welcome students to our live session. This week our focus is on Unit 5, which is the impact of branding, right? So with Unit 5, I hope you guys went over the content for this unit as well. So the session is being recorded and I will share the link with you on ICANN so you can access the recording of today's session. But those of you that joined late, welcome to our live session. Today is a very interesting topic as well. All content we do in marketing is very interesting and exciting because you're always learning something new and different. So with the learning outcomes for Unit 5, so by the end of this unit, you should be able to define the concepts of brands, brand name, brand equity. You must be able to identify the benefits of branding for customers and organizations and discuss the characteristics of effective brand elements, describe the 3 stages of brand loyalty, and discuss the levels of brand equity, right? So this is our focus for today's lesson, and there is more learning outcomes if you look in your study guide as well. Also note that all learning outcomes are very important for your assessments, right? And to ensure you understand content. So let's start off by defining what are brands, right? We all know the different brands, like as you can see in the picture illustrated, we all know Coca-Cola, McDonald's sign, Google, Starbucks, Facebook, right? We know all of that, but how do we define what is a brand? So a brand is a type of product by a particular name and sold under a particular name, right? So a brand is a product, service, or concept that is publicly distinguished from other products, services, or concepts so that it can be easily communicated and usually marketed. Branding is the process of creating and disseminating the brand name, its qualities, and of course, its personality, right? So a brand, like we said, is a product or service that has a unique and immediately recognizable identity. Like, for example, if I say Nike, you know exactly the sign, the logo, you know exactly the Nike products, right? So it distinguishes itself from others in its industries. The consumer associates the product name, label, packaging also with particular attributes such as value, quality, or tastefulness as well, right? So it's a particular name of a product or service that is a brand. Um, so a brand name is a name given by the maker to a product or range of products, especially a trademark, right? So for example, Uber or Dove, like a swordfish, suggestive names already have some level of evocation in the mind of the consumer, and the brand name, it can build upon this by tweaking them to their needs, like in our Dove example mentioned. You can see even with Pampers, right? It focuses more on comfort and protection. So when you think of Dove, okay, the shampoo, the soap, um, all of those products associated with it instantly as well. The sign of it as well. Okay, with brand equity. With brand equity, it focuses on the value of a brand, right? Determined by the consumer's perception of its quality and desirability. It is based on factors such as the brand's recognition, customer loyalty, and customer satisfaction. So, for example, right, Apple, considered one of the world's most valuable brands, is an classic example of a brand with positive equity, right? So the company builds its positive reputation with Mac computers before extending the brands to iPhones, which deliver on the brand promise expected by Apple computer customers as well. So brand equity, you can also say, is the commercial value of a product's reputation to the company that owns it, right? And a company's price may be determined by adding up the value of its buildings, inventory, and equipment. But its value increases if the company owns one or more brands that have attained a solid reputation with consumers, of course. Okay, so these concepts are quite easy to understand, right? These concepts are marketing concepts. Um, so with branding benefits, um, you have customer recognition, customer knows your brand well. Like if I mention, like I said, Nike, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, all these brands you're familiar with, right? Customer loyalty, credibility, it gives confidence, consistency as well, brand equity, attracts talents, allows shared values as well. Okay, so it creates all of these benefits as well, right? So it also um, ensures that there's positive word of mouth marketing, there's lower price sensitivity, there's higher advertising effectiveness on customers, there's engaged employees who are proud to work at your company because your brand is so well known. So branding has many benefits to it, right? You attract the best employees to want to work for your company as well, employees who want to work in your company because your brand is well known, to customers as well. Then you have here the characteristics of effective brand awareness. Okay, characteristics of effective brand awareness. You have memorability, meaningfulness, likability, transferability, and adaptability. So these are all the characteristics of an effective, uh, brand elements as well. Right? If you have any questions, guys, you can post it on the chat box as we go along. Or if there's anything you would like to share, you can just post it on the chat box, and of course, we can discuss it. Maybe if there's something you also would like to share dealing with branding, anything you have experienced with branding, or the company that you work for, any of that as well. Um, so we can, understand as well different perceptions and perspectives. And another one I would like to share is, it's of course a very common one. When you have a successful brand, there's also its uniqueness, right? So that's another characteristics. There's uniqueness. So when you establish a brand identity, remember it requires something different. So for instance, like we know Apple has been known as a worldwide. It's known worldwide for their innovative products and their aesthetic appeal. So when it comes to companies or service companies like you say Domino's pizzas, right? Used to guarantee that their pizza would arrive 30 minutes or it would be free. In terms of a selling point, I'm not sure. Most of the cases when I did order, we didn't get the pizza free. So, so it's all about how you brand your product, also gaining customer loyalty and customer trust. You must have the trust of your customers. If you're saying advertising, it should be what you're advertising as well. That's how you build your brand. And the three stages of brand loyalty is one, is awareness. That is to change, uh, to create a loyal customer. We want to create a loyal customer. Okay, so it all starts with awareness, and this is the very first stage and the point where you need to build trust and relationship with your customer. So regarding the different stages, awareness is known as the make or break point. So if you fail to impress and build loyalty, the customer will look for competitors who can give them a better experience, right? And we don't want that. And one mistake that many brands make is to think that loyalty is connected to price. Indeed, customers will often turn to a company that offer them a good deal, but this isn't all that customers are looking for. Okay, it's not only looking for a cheaper option, it's also knowing that the brand is what it's of quality, it's to the customer satisfaction, and they do what they say. It's about trust as well. Stage two is preference, a sign of customer loyalty, right? So even at this stage, um, regardless of your business's industry, it's essential to understand this level, right? At this stage, you create a loyal customer, but it's also often simple due to habit they form. Say perhaps a store is close to the workplace, then it makes it convenient for the customer to pick up a few things before they head home. You may have many deals that they're interested in regularly. Convenience is often the key behind level or the stage two, right? And at this point, the customer may still think of your business as a generic brand. They make an association or feel an attachment to your store because if they're always coming in and buying, they are loyal to your brand, right? And stage three is insistence, shopping from the same brand. Okay, so at this stage as well, so when customers prefer a single brand for their purchases of something specific, they are proud of it. And this is when they enter stage three, which is insistence. Um, okay, insistence, sorry about that. And the sales team in companies will generally view these customers as the ones with the most value for the brand, right? So you will often also create customized experiences for this type of customer, as many businesses find this adds some personality and helps them to retain the customer at the insistent level or stage. So if you successfully bring customers to this stage, it's easier to increase your profits without increasing your advertising expenses. It is the commitment that the customer has towards your brand, that pays off in the long run as well. Okay, and lastly, we have the levels of brand equity. So you have brand identity, which is associated with who are you, brand meaning, what are you, brand response, what about you, and resonance is what about you and me. So there's different levels of brand equity. Of course, there's different activities being taken place. So if you look at level one, brand identity, who are you? So this is how customers look at your brand and distinguish it from others, right? It's the most important stage and must be strong to support the rest of the pyramid. So brand identity builds when customers start off unaware of your products and values. Then you can attract them with ad campaigns, targeted marketing that increases awareness. Level two is brand meaning. What are we? Um, what are you? So when customers become aware of your brand, they will want to know more about you now. So does or do it features work well? Does it features work well? Like, is it reliable? Does it look good? Is the customer service good? Is the value of the product worth, your money? And so that on level two, you focus on brand performance and brand imagery. Then level three is brand response. So what are the feelings of the brand, right? So once a customer has bought the brand, does it live up to the hype and expectation for them? If they love the product, they have feelings for it, and they'll tell their friends, of course, family, social media, they'll take to social media, they'll post about it. So they start becoming a brand ambassador now because you are satisfied with it, you're happy with it. So you start telling people, you start posting about it, using the product. Okay, and so forth. And then last level, brand resonance. So this is building a strong relationship. So when a customer loves a brand so much, they will not consider buying another one, right? So feels a relationship with it and a connection with other buyers that they are they are very rare and precious thing, a brand advocate. And so the way up to the resonance level affords a brand opportunities to recognize and capitalize on its customers' loyalties and attitudes, right? So this can include now both positive and negative, right? You may not always hear positive feedback on brands, right? And I'm sure you even experienced it. If you bought a brand, you know that was a very eye level, and then you were disappointed with the quality, you're disappointed with the service levels, or something you were disappointed with, because maybe you bought a well-known brand um, item or your a service from a well-known brand company, anything. But I'm sure at one point or another you just experience maybe some disappointment, and then it starts to you affect now your perception about this brand. It may not always be positive, so you'll share that negative perception. You'll tell your families or your friends, or you take to social media because you paid so much money for it and it was not up to standard. Like, for example, just say you maybe bought an expensive item, like a guest watch or something like that, but and you found that it was not up to your satisfaction level or something was wrong with it. And of course, you paid a lot of money for it, so you'll expect a certain amount or a certain level of service when you deal with certain brands because of the reputation that they have built in the industry. Okay, so that's also very important. Um, if you have any questions, you can post it on the chat box right now, but this is the end of Unit 5. It is dealing with the impact of branding. And what's to take away from this lesson is not every brand, of course, will have a only positive feedback. You'll have brands that also, even very, very well-known brands, where customers experience not so great, satisfaction service levels from those brands as well. Right. So